Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here from the Lone Star State at Circuit of the Americas. I'm Austin. I'm joined by Alessandro Dalladone with Marco Bobanera up here in the production booth, and we are here live in the great state of Texas in a beautiful city outside of Austin, Texas, here at the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. Alessandro, glad to have you with me. How are you feeling about today?
I'm feeling very confident that we will have a very interesting race with a very different field, also compared to last week at Watkins Glen, attractive, which probably suits even more these cars, being a proper F1 track. And I'm definitely not excited as you, because this is your favorite racetrack. Instead, for me, it's a bit of one of the racetracks I don't really appreciate a lot, but hopefully you will be changing my mind tonight.
Well, it is my home racetrack. I live just down the street from it, so I absolutely love this track. I go here almost as many times as I can, and this facility is just amazing to drive on and watch a race on. It's got a lot of elevation changes, and it's got pretty much everything you want from a racetrack, especially that arena section before the triple apex corner underneath the tower. And the newly renamed Turn 1 is now known as Big Red corner in favor to Red McCombs, the man responsible for funding most of this track.
We are 3 minutes into qualifying. We are right now following Julian Martinez Pastor, one of the two Iberian drivers that joined today's race. 23 car field, and we have also 4 Japanese drivers, so even more drivers joining from one of the newest communities of Formula 3.5 host.
Yeah, at the start of the season, a few of them were dipping their toes into the Formula 3.5 waters, and well, word got out, and boy, these guys are fast and fun to be around, and I can tell you the Japanese community, these guys love this car and how it just drives, and I'm good. It's going to be the Australians have another thing coming to them, because I feel like they're going to be the next biggest powerhouse in the Formula 3.5 community, as well as the American drivers. You got 5 Americans in here as well, 4 Japanese drivers. The Australians have well, their numbers have dwindled as most of them are heading off to the IR01. And we also have the Netherlands and Europeans still in here as well. And also, we got Brazilians as well.
Oh yeah, we have Marcos and Costa. We also have supporters in chat for Evandro Masker, the number 21 car. In the meantime, we are 5 minutes into the qualifying session, and Paul Ilbrink is leading by almost 3/10 on Edward Samborski, who was definitely looking forward to this race.
Yeah, Edward Samborski and Paul Ilbrink battling out as we see Samborski heading into the arena, as there's Hermano just exiting out of the arena and heading into Tower Corner. And in these Formula 3.5 cars, it's just flat out through this corner. But I can tell you, in the lower cars and in sports cars, you got to feather the throttle and find your grip there, or else it's going to be a very bad line through there. We've seen some exciting racing going on through here. We're doing the FIA track limits, and we aren't pulling off the IndyCar stuff here, as iRacing can't really turn on and off that feature. But Samborski coming around the final corner, comes across the line, and he's sitting on pole position with the 46.562. So he heads up into Big Red.
We also have James Byrne coming to the start-finish line. He improves to 15th place, as also Reid is 4th. Paul Ilbrink is in the pits, I think, so he won't be able to get a better lap time. Might have made a mistake on the second one, so I think Samborski will be our pole sitter tonight.
Yeah, Edward Samborski definitely knows this track, who wants to put an American on pole and try for the American win here ahead of Paul Ilbrink, as we have Jason Henrique sitting in 6th place after he put in a purple Sector 1 last time by. Here is Pastor down in 20th right now. He's coming around turn 20 at this moment. See if he can improve himself. Number 22, K0 driver comes across the line, and he improves up to 16th. A little bit of a lockup for Hayata Saga, and unfortunately, he's going to be ending out his qualifying time right there.
Yeah, and both laps were not good enough for Saga. He will be starting from the back of the field, joining probably Juan de la Fuente, who hasn't even showed up for qualifying.
Yeah, he's not on track right now. I feel like some of the people here, they know Big Red Corner is very famous for some very unfortunate incidents in sim racing, as this is Jason Enrique just abandoning his qualifying lap. Paul Ilbrink hard into the apex of that corner, almost coming across the bump right there. And there's a lot of bumps on the inside of that corner right now, the far left-hand side. That's where the American Rallycross starting gates are, where there are a bunch of holes that are drilled into the track where these metal pipes would shoot up into that Rallycross complex right here. And I'm really hoping they only raced there for about 2 years. And I really hope iRacing would put that track configuration in there, because it is a fun little short course as Paul is heading into the pit lane.
Qualifying is over, so here is our starting grid for the night. Edward Samborski with a 1:46.562 is our pole sitter, alongside Paul Ibring rounding up row 1. Christophe Herbigno, Phil right second row. Then I am Keyman, Jason Enrique, Riley Miller, Andres Ferraz Leite, Theodore Burrs, and Luciano Costa is our last driver in the top 10. Rob Boer, Mac J. Ponick, Evandro Marquez, Rob Crouch 14th. Jamie Byrne, Julian Martinez Pasto, Inyo Yeon, Masafumi Aburame, James R. Byrne, Kota Miwa, Shigeru Ogawa, Ayata Asaga, and Juanra de la Fuente. 23rd place is our driver rounding up the field. Austin, we are 1 minute into the gridding procedure. Obviously still plenty of drivers waiting for the last few seconds, as tires are very important in the start, and cold tires always play a big factor. They want to grid as late as possible.
Yeah, tire temperature is definitely important here in Texas. Sorry for a little bit of Japanese butchering right here. We're not Japanese, so we aren't used to seeing some of these names.
We should call our producer Marco to help in these particular occasions, but we don't want to give him any chances to do it, otherwise it would be an habit.
All right, well, 20 laps under the, well, here in the Lone Star State, the 5 red lights are going on, and it's green here in Texas. Paul Ilbert gets an amazing start right beside Samborski as they come up the hill, and they're going to go side by side. They're going to go 3 wide in the big red corner to start off this race, and Samborski pushing Paul Ilbert wide, and look at that down the inside. Christopher Herberto jumping up into second place as they're side by side heading into turn 2.
Great style by Samborski, but Herbigno managed to go by Paul Ilbrink. Very careful, obviously, because it's very easy to lose the backhand on that corner. But so far so good. Everything seems to be pretty clear. Even in the midfield, it's very, very difficult to go through these S's when you are so packed.
Yeah, the dirty air. I was talking to a few of these drivers that this track makes you understand dirty air. We got a massive pile up. Multiple cars involved. Costa, Jean, and Rob Crouch involved as they're coming out of the final S's, as Samborski, Herberto, Ilbrink, Reed, Keeman, and Henrique are your top 6 as they come around the hairpin and onto that long back straight. This is where DRS is going to be used the most. It is a drag race here.
Might have happened something around the top 10 because we have a big gap right now from Byrne to Marquez. As we see, still side-by-side racing with Jamie Byrne. Going wide.
Just missed that breaking point.
Very easy with the COTA. We have a spin.
That's Phil Reed.
All
Phil
good.
Reed off, and we've seen so many cars, Sebastian Vettel, spin right there, and it's so easy because it's just so little grip right there.
Absolutely. But the car is fine, so he will be able to continue with a lot of time loss and positions to gain back, but the car is fine, so the race is long, 20 laps, as Samborski is our leader at the end of lap 1, 1 second in front of Erwin. Let's see if he can pull already a gap, because I think he has more pace than the Benelux driver.
Well, he definitely does have more pace than qualified, but it's the dirty air aspect that's going to be helping him a lot, especially through this opening sector. As I was talking with a few of these guys before the week, they were saying that this track, the dirty air, is so effective, and it's so hard to stay with somebody before you just cook your tires. You might see them stay within this gap for about 1 to 2 laps, but then it's just going to be a massive struggle fest to stay very close to each other.
And you can see here drivers really struggling in these S's already. It's different lines and it's impossible to pass. If someone makes a little mistakes in front of you, it's very difficult to profit from that, and it might end up in, as we see here, right, making the pass on Pony, and James Bird almost thinking about it to profit also from the pass from the UK and Ireland driver.
Oh, Presley on almost getting challenged by Theodore Burns right there. Right on board, looking back at Burns as they head into the arena. So many different lines you can take into this final corner right here before you head into the triple apex. And both these guys definitely on it right now. They're up from where they qualified. The biggest mover so far is a tie. No, it's Masafumi Abarume. He's up 7 spots.
And biggest loser is Luciano Costa, started in 10th, now finding himself in 20th place.
He was involved in that lap 1 spin in the S's. I'm not sure what's happened right there. We might get a replay very soon, but Christopher Carbonell has closed in half a second to Everett Samborski.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if he's trying to save up as many DRS as possible, as we see the replay of Costa in his beautiful delivery.
Oh, that's just a misplaced judgment. That was Rob Bohr just going down the inside. There was a second incident of a car heading into the gravel coming out of turn 10.
Another point we need to make for this track is the fact that drivers is also to be very careful about their track limits, because it's very easy to get incident points around this track hosting, and if you abuse too much at the start, you find yourself then having to slow down because there is a penalty at 17.
Yes, there is absolutely a big penalty at 17, a drive-through penalty, and then disqualification after that. As we're looking at Rob Crouch drafting the Japanese driver. He's looking down to the inside, side by side. They're going to go heading into the arena. Late on the brakes goes Crouch, and heading into there. A big lock for both the drivers. And there's Phil Reed as well, getting his nose into there on the back end of Rob Crouch. Rob Crouch got it down to the inside. Masafumi went a little bit wide. And now Phil Reed behind Masafumi as they head into turn 12. Well, that is turn 15.
Yeah, everybody looking to make a pass to gain as much time as possible, and whenever you are trying to attack somebody, you put yourself at risk from the guy behind you as well, so you need to be very careful. Drivers are very, very close, as we see Reed now trying to look towards the inside, but it's not easy to pass there. He will get the draft and possibly pass at the big red corner.
Well, here he goes. He's looking up, big red corner up the giant hill, setting it down to turn 1. Very good on the brakes. And also look at that fight behind them. Mark Pontick and James Byrne going side by side, but Pontick stays ahead of James coming out into turn 2.
Great battles in the midfield. As per usual, every week we keep saying how tight the midfield is. The battles are insane and they keep going till the end of the race. Also up front, the drivers are racing really hard, but it's a bit more complicated to see passes every lap because we have a spin maybe or a lockup.
It's Riley Miller going slow after the hairpin. Might have just lost his breaking point right there. It's very late on the brakes, and oh, there's a big slide, big lockup, and he's definitely praying for Jesus right there that it didn't go around.
Yeah, very good save, and lucky to not even get hit by a driver behind us. Burn is trying to go along the outside of Yatazaga, and now switch back to the inside, but it's very difficult to make a pass work in this session. But it's so nice because you have so many options, so many lines, and if you play it nicely, it will come out as a great pass.
Yeah, Saga nicely held that and not phased at all from that threat by Burn right there. We right on board for Rob Crouch and Phil Reed is about for 11th. Reed with a late send heading into turn 20, locked up the car right there, and he's going to be looking for a trap to start to give him a little bit of advantage heading into turn 1 at Big Red, but he's just too far away to make that move happen. As soon as I said that, he's yeeting it down the inside. Man, Crouch just let that door wide open like it was Mama's Bakery down on 6th Street.
That was a textbook pass by Phil Reed. You can see how far he was, and you can clearly see how more confident and about his pace and the ability to slow down the car. It's a bit weird to see Rob Crouch so back in the field today, Austin.
Well, there was a little bit of radio communication. I believe it was from Rob Crouch saying you just take the inside, man. So I believe that might have been him. I don't have my overlay on that shows who's actually talking on the radio, but I believe that might have been called.
Yeah, I think it's a good call for Rob because it's better to let him go and not lose time fighting each other. But at the same time, I'm a bit surprised to see Rob struggling so much around this track, as usually we see him always fight for a top 3 or at least a top 5 every week.
Well, this track is not the most loved track here on iRacing, as if you race on a single monitor, it's very hard to see the apexes of the very last section. If you race on triples, you can see the entire track and everyone loves it. Talking to all the drivers I know that have driven around here, they said they love this track so much. It's so fun to drive on. I absolutely love driving on it, either in sim or in real life, either in a car or on a bicycle. It's just a very fun track to drive on, but if you're on a single monitor, it's a very difficult track to get around here, especially on iRacing.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the few tracks where who has a wider angle of field of view definitely gets a better performance than people on a single monitor, as we are looking for a
Oh, that's a dangerous look right there from Rob Bohr.
Yeah, very.
But getting onto the curb goes Pastor, and Pastor's off into the grass down into the inside. Rob Bohr swings it around the outside, side by side, into turn 7 and 8 right here.
It's and it faster, but he made a good move because in the end he forced a mistake from the driver in front and got a free position. That's what you should do if you can't make a move. Just try to pressure the opponent and eventually you will make a mistake.
Indeed, and wow, that was a massive incident. If you get onto these curbs, there's a big possibility you will get some floor damage, maybe a little bit of a side pod nick, and that'll hurt yourself down the straights here. And I think that's what Pastor has right now after getting onto that curb, because we've seen these side pods. If they just get a little bit of nick over a curb, it's game over. Massive floor damage in these cars can just send you a long way down, and you can't repair that.
Absolutely, you need to stay away from that curbs that are so dangerous on iRacing and also in real life, in my opinion. As we are looking now to Christopher Herbignon with a great drive in second place in front of Paul Hilbrink, who is trying to get by, but he doesn't really find any chance.
He's been stuck in that dirty air to make that car work. You can either be stuck in that dirty air and be racing with a car that's just set up on your own, or you can compromise with that dirty air and set up the car to be working in that dirty air. It's just, you would have to have a very fast qualifying setup and then switch it over. And I completely remember iRacing doesn't have parquet firmware, so probably if you don't even qualify on the front row, you would be running in that dirty air setup.
Yeah, I think it's as you were saying last week at Watkins Glen, you mostly gonna run as much downforce as possible, even these tracks where supposedly you might go for a lower downforce package because of dirty air. And if Watkins is a high downforce setup track, this is definitely another one.
Indeed, and this is always, pretty much all of the Formula 3.5 tracks, it is a high downforce track. We will see some people mess with medium downforce here and there, but from everybody I've talked to, this car just works with high downforce. So the amount of power you have coming through these corners, if you mess with lower downforce, you're just losing time. The only times where I've seen medium downforce work was actually at Bathurst.
Okay, that's an interesting point. I wouldn't think about it, but
well, you were in the race, but oh, we got a contact in the entrance of the arena. That's John.
Yeah, it's one lap down, so there's some issues early on.
Oh no!
Shigeru Ogawa might have.
Ogawa's just blocked at the brakes, missed his braking point, got into Jean right there, and Indiho's not going to be happy about that.
Yeah, definitely not a day to remember for. Oh, another spin.
Phil Reed's spun around in Big Red.
Second spin of the day for Phil Reed. Let's catch a replay behind Byrne, I think. Looks at the inside and takes the inside. Definitely showing a lot of speed, but unfortunately he made already two big mistakes.
There's just too much mustard going in there. Big slide.
Safely rejoins, stops the car, seeing other people coming by, and then goes back on track behind Rob Crouch, who passed a few laps ago. Speaking of setups, I would like to thank also some of our sponsors here at Apex Racing TV. For the Formula Renault 3.5 in particular, you can also get some setups from Virtual Racing School to improve your on-track performance. 50 data packs, road oval racing, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching. But also Apex Racing Academy, which is integrated with the VRS, with 29 different packages, setups, weekly group coaching section, and much more. So please go check them out. The sponsor make all these great broadcasts possible, and without them, and you can definitely get a lot of good tips and setups for your iRacing activity. As we see, still another great battle between Christopher Vigneault and Paul Hilbrink. Paul doesn't really find any place to go through because on the technical areas, Austin is struggling to keep up, and on the straight he doesn't really have the speed to go by.
He's stuck in the dirty air of Evan Samborski, and Paul Hilbrink stuck in the dirty air of Herberto and Samborski. And Paul has had some great looks in the arena, but it's just very hard for him to get around there with this such little downforce, and it's all about throttle management in that arena section because you don't have downforce assisting you in that area, and the little amount of downforce that you have is so dirty that it's practically just driving on low downforce.
We also see with the Phil Reed earlier that it's very difficult to make some very powerful moves in corners like turn 1, and it takes a lot of precision. So if you don't want to risk anything yet because you are not even halfway, it's better just to stay in the draft and make sure to save up a little bit of tires, as we have a little scuff for 16th place and 20th at the back.
Oh, they're still going at it. They're still going at it in the arena. Down the inside goes Rob Bohr, and here comes James Byrne as he's looking to get it right back in that little hairpin, the third hairpin of this track. I would call it the mini hairpin, but it's probably one of my favorite hairpins to make a good little switchback move, but Rob Bohr and James Byrne going at it for 16th. And down a little bit of pack, I still close in on Mark Ponick ahead of him.
Yeah, very close field. You have a big gap from P3 to P4, from Midfield to Enrique, who is running together with Keyman, and then from essentially P7 to P12 they are all together, and same from P13 to P18, so the pack is still pretty big, and we will have a lot of fights towards this middle section of the event. Track temperature is cold, so it's not really gonna affect the tires too much.
Well, it's heated up 2 degrees from all the work that's being worked into the track right now. We started the race at 19 degrees Celsius. It's gone up to 21 degrees, and that just shows you how much heat these tires are putting into this track, and how much some of these drivers are struggling as Herbino and Ilbrink starting to close in on Everett Samborski. But as they're still doing that, they're still pulling away from 4th in the wad.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see as we have another
crash. Oh, went down the inside. Too much mustard off the exit. Got around, and there's Phil Reed down the inside of Crouch, and that's gonna be another spot. Crouch down into 12th.
Yeah, very tough to put the power down, although the temperature of the track is not that high, as we have Evando Marquez struggling with the exit after the hairpin.
Might have got a slowdown. If you go a little bit too wide, you will be getting a slowdown penalty, and
I think he
just... Whoa, no, yeah, it's too much slide right there.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Very low grip. Good for Marquez, and he's going to be looking for another move, but ahead of him, Jamie Byrne under pressure from Phil Reed as they head up into Big Red. Side by side they go. Reed down low, and Reed's make that move work without spinning around this time. He's been struggling a lot right there, but Phil Reed, well, he certainly locked it down right there. And here's Saga and Abrube side by side, heading into the S's. They're still side by side, and oh no! Masafume just gets clipped by a Saga right there. And he's ended up onto the inside of the track, and Floyd's getting into the wall ahead of the turn 6 stand, which is usually where I'm camped out at every major race. And Hayate Saga now sits in 13th ahead of this pack, and he's up 9 spots, making him the biggest mover so far in this race. And that's a big dive from Byrne.
This midfield is getting even spicier with this side-by-side racing, as Burns is gone by Miller for 7th place.
Oh, the teammates are going at it now. We're going right to the arena. Look at it down the inside. Luciano Costa sends it down there. Goes a little bit wide to the Texas Star. Mark Ponick now leads around to the outside. Costa trying to fight it back down to the inside. Costa and Ponick still side by side, and Costa swings it down to the inside, and here goes Ponick, and Ponick just turns Costa. James Byrne got into the back. Now Ponick leads ahead of Byrne, but Byrne just a little bit late on the brakes, got into the gearbox of Costa, sent Costa flying around, and wow, what a scrap we got here.
Side-by-side racing, this was absolutely great. Unfortunate for Costa, he got tapped from behind. There might have been some netcode also involved, but unfortunately now the Brazilian will find himself in 17th place, as James Byrne probably had some issues here.
He just got into the AstroTurf right there, coming out of turn 19 in front of
here.
And around goes James Byrne, which some might say karma to that.
In the meantime, we can state that we unfortunately have another retirement, that is Julian Martinez Pastor in the 22 car. He's parked the car for the day, and Ogawa managed to go to pit road and fix the wing, and is now sitting 21st, 1 minute behind the leader.
Yeah, we see Edward Samborski coming out of tower turn, just going in front of Haas Hill right now. He is absolutely loving this place right here. As, well, he's gained more time on Hermano and Ilbrink, as I believe their tires are screaming, no more, no more, no more. Because later on this race, these tires are going to start getting a little bit loose as the Saga's off the track.
Using every inch of asphalt, even out of the track, to get even further away from Rob Bohr.
Bohr very late turn into turn 19, just kept on going, missed that apex, and that's definitely the dirty air hurting his turn in right there. Ayanta Saga, 9 spots up, looking to stay there as he's trying to close in on Marquez ahead of him in 12th place.
After all these shenanigans, the midfield has spread out a little bit, but we still have a lot of battles like here between Taylor Burns and Riley Miller for 7th place. And I think sooner or later we will also get Phil Reed involved after 2 spins early on, as we have the usual weekly
concentration on his face.
Onboard camera on Samborski.
Just pure on focus, and he's loving it. You're gonna see the smile on his face and everything. Ever Samborski came to play here today.
It's gonna be
now that we got the running joke out of the way, we can go back to our scheduled race.
It's gonna be interesting to see, as Marco is also providing us in the blocks, the difference between the... Ilbrink is second.
No! Christopher Hermano, big spin. Coming out of turn 20, and that's allowed Ilbrink to get up there in a second.
I was about to say, how these podium spots are gonna develop towards the end, because Ervinho was doing a great job, but unfortunately too much mustard in this last corner, and around he goes. Still 5-second lead on P4, so his podium spot is still pretty safe, but now Paul Ilbrink will have the chance to reel Samborski down, as we check a replay for Ayata Asaga.
Around the blind turn and a big spin, and slight contact with Rob Bohr. There's a broken wing for Ayata Asaga right there. That's Rob Bohr, see if he had any contact with him. iRacing registered it as it, but does Bohr get any spare contact? Is so hard to avoid right there, and we do not see any damage on Rob Bohr's car.
Very fortunate, because on one side I saw for a moment the Japanese driver having a broken wing, but sometimes iRacing...
No, that wing's broken. It's broke for Asaga, but
he will probably have to come back to pit road, because that damage will be affecting his car quite a lot.
Yeah, this is probably the most difficult corner. It's a blind left-hand turn. You gotta aim for that curb to get as maximum through there, and just around you go, and very unfortunate hit right there.
Absolutely. As we check on the lap times of the leaders, Ilbrink 5 seconds faster than Samborski in the last 2 laps. He might also have used a DRS, but I think it's just the fact that Ervinho is not in front of him anymore, and he can unleash the proper potential of his Formula Renault 3.5. So if he has still plenty of DRS, which we don't know, he might have used them maybe trying to go by Ervinho earlier. He might try to reel in Samborski, but I think Ed definitely kept quite a few for these final 5-6 laps, in case he had to defend from an attack.
Indeed, and Samborski, he doesn't have as much dirty air as, Paul Ilbrink's got a little bit clearer air now as Hermano's gone. So we've seen on how close he was dealing with 2 cars ahead of him. I think Paul Ilbrink can bring the fight to Samborski in these last few laps.
Yeah, I definitely think so too, because Ilbrink showed definitely a lot of pace in qualifying. Remember that he didn't even score the second lap, so he might have done a better lap time. And Ervinho was slowing down clearly because he was very, very close to Christophe for all the time, but he couldn't find any way to pass him without having to risk too much. So I think he will be giving us an interesting development for the end of the race, as Azaga is slowly
He's still up there.
trying
with
to
that
make
broken wing.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if he's going forward or backwards, because
He's
I
gone
think that
backwards for
element
sure.
is gonna affect him quite a lot, especially in these fast corners.
His last lap was a 151.19. He was usually running 149s before this. You get to see how much time he's lost just in at that tower turn. That car cannot turn right.
Maybe
Just like the
these,
NASCARs that are going to be coming here later this year.
yeah, hopefully.
I got tickets. I'm already hoping for it.
Well, I definitely hope for you that everything's gonna work fine as we are approaching the last 5 laps of the race. Let's check a replay with Theo Burns in the tank car from Downforce Racing.
2 downforce cars going at it as they head into Big Red, but hesitant on the turn end. Just felt the mustard coming, and a little bit of lockup, and he saved that from getting very messy right there.
Battle for 4th, Jason Rick and I am Keeman. They seem to run pretty much every week together, obviously.
Some of these guys are just glued to each other week after week. They're so balanced in pace around each other, and here on iRacing, you get a lot of that. Me and Marco, especially around Daytona, we're inseparable in pace. Sometimes he's faster than I am, mainly in qualifying. Then in the race, I'm ahead of him.
Yeah, one time you miss the bus stop and the other time Marco does.
Then one of us kills each other and we blame it on somebody else.
Indeed, as Samborski scores the fastest lap of the race, 1:47.61.
He's
Ilbrink
definitely
was
active
even a bit
DRS.
faster, but unfortunately I think he got a incident point. He went a bit off track because he didn't count as the fastest lap of the event.
Yeah, Paul Ilbrink definitely got an off track right there. His last lap was a 1:47.48, but he didn't keep it within track limits. And it's going to be very difficult to stay within the track limits here, as if we look at our off-track counter, not the iRacing incident point counter, but Paul Ilbrink is currently at 22.
Yeah, it's definitely not what the drivers will see on their screen, because otherwise Paul would have already had to come through pit road for a drive-through, but definitely it can give us an idea of how much drivers are exploiting track limits and also how much they are pushing. As Theodore Burst is still defending from Phil Reed. Ooh, that back wanted to just go, and he somehow managed to save it, but
that back end was as wild as a full-grown bull, and he was about to go for an 8-second ride back there, but he kept that bull under control and kept going. But wow, that was a big hit. And funny thing about bull riding, there's actually a bull riding venue just down the road from COTA, just across from the toll road.
1.2 is the gap between Samborski and Ilbrink, as Marco is promptly showing in our comparison box on your bottom right. Gap slowly coming down every lap, but it's still too far to get the draft, and it's gonna take probably a small mistake from Ed and a lot of good sectors for Ilbrink.
The sector indeed for Ilbrink. Close in on a second now. And with the use of DRS, we got 3 laps of this long back straight. You have a few good uses of both their DRSs is wide open right now. You can tell through the cars using DRS if you cannot see through the back wing. And you can see a little bit of a sliver that you, then DRS is not activated. It kind of works oppositely visually, but it works just the same as it does in real life. Hopefully the iRacing newer damage model also includes the DRS flap that's going. I believe in the World Series car, it actually shows it, right?
I do not know.
All right, one of us needs to go into a practice session to try it.
Indeed. As Ilbrink is now below 1 second, so this is getting very, very spicy. 2 laps to go. Samborski exits the last corner, and let's see, the last sector for Ilbrink is almost a tenth faster, so Austin,
New
are you
fastest
ready?
lap. Oh, I've been ready from lap 1. Let's go racing here. Ilbrink new fastest laps. They head into a big run. 2 laps remain here between these two. Also, we got a good fight for Byrne and Reed. Reed, after controlling that back end, trying to stay with Theodore Burns as they head into turn 20. 2 laps to go for them this time by.
And we also have to keep an eye on these battles in the midfield. We have still this fight between Burns and Wright to watch out as they are fighting already for a lot of laps. Unfortunate for Phil Reed here today. Too many mistakes as we had almost a 3-1 moment there between Azaga. No, Miwa, Byrne and Abu Rame.
COTA was very wild through there. James Burr stuck on the outside. Here comes COTA Miwa down into the inside of big red corner. There's a Saga, still struggling with that front end. And he is continuing on and down the inside. That's Abrume's in there as well. But up front, battle for first. Half a second separates Ilbrink and Samborski as they go through the arena and into the triple apex corner and around Christopher Hermano. Too much mustard in the arena, just where we saw Phil Reed have that spin. And here's Burns and Reed. Reed sending it down to the inside into the arena. He makes that move, stick, gets in front of Theodore Burns. Burns now headed down to the inside. Side by side they go. Phil Reed spun around here at lap 1. Can he keep all 4 tires locked down? He certainly does. And they're still going to go side by side. Heading into this hairpin. Phil Reed down to the inside. There's contact between them. Burns swings it around the outside of Phil Reed.
What a battle, expecting track limits a little bit, but definitely it's not over, Austin, as it's not over between Samborski and Ilbrink. They probably gonna both have still DRS is available for this long straight, but the draft is gonna definitely help the driver from the Netherlands. It might be too far, but you never know.
We might see another Danish driver make it move here and make it work other than Max Verstappen, as he is closing in on the American Ever Samborski, trying to win it on home soil as they head hard to the braking zone of turn 11 and now down the long back straight. A little bit of a wiggle for Paul Ilbrink as they head down the back straight. DRS wide open for Samborski, but Paul Ilbrink does not have DRS to him. He's
made another mistake in the meantime. He's 5th.
Christopher Herberto's fallen down to 5th. Samborski leads Ilbrink into the arena. And Paul Ilbrink is on the gearbox of Ever Samborski as they head into turns 12 and 13. Heading into 14 and 15 now. This is where Ilbrink can make his move stick. Samborski defends. Samborski spun it in the arena. Paul Ilbrink takes the lead in the very final lap. Paul Ilbrink leads this race with 2 corners to go. What a race. It looked like all was lost when he fell down to 3rd and big red corner on lap 1. Well, he's taken first place. He wins it here at Circuit of the Americas. And there's Jason Henrique finishing in 3rd place, a position that he was not even I don't think he was even thinking that he was going to finish in there, but Christopher Herbono, the tires just gave out on him, fell down to 5th place, and here's what happened. I cannot believe that. Turn 9 is so deadly right there. And wow.
Let's also catch the replay of a rare Edward Zamborski mistake.
Just too much mustard into there. And that is... Oh, you can never predict a Formula 3.5 race.
Oh no, absolutely.
And you can tell why I love this track.
Wherever we watch, you always find something to talk about. Someone trying to pass or to do something. Never gets boring. The races should be even more longer. As
Indeed.
brings the car home for Radical Online Track Racer, leading only the last few corners.
That was absolutely insane. And we even got a quote from Tim Delisle, who was joining us here in chat. Exciting race. Oh, man. And that was exciting from start to finish. What a race, as Paul Ilbrink is doing a little victory lap right now in this beautiful venue. And all the fans, I can tell you, are standing up on their feet, virtual or not. That was a great race. And a great finish. Woo, woo, woo. Paul Ilbrink takes the win, followed by Edward Zamborski. Jason Enrique completes the podium with I Am Keyman in 4th. Christopher Herbono, Andreas Ferraz, Lite, Riley Miller, Theodore Burns, Phil Reed, Rob Crouch, Jamie Bird, Evandro Marquez, Rob Bohr, Juan De Fuente, Mark Ponick, Hayate Asaka, James Bird, Kota Maiwa, Luciano Costa, Masafumi Abarume, Julian Pastor, and Nino John in 23rd. What a race, and we have our race winner standing by with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Ilbrink.
Yeah, baby.
Paul, how was that race? Lap 1, you fell down to 3rd place, and you were stuck behind Christopher Herbono. Did you ever think that you were going to win this race when you were just stuck behind him?
Or at all faith. No, like Ed did a great Hamilton-like move in turn 1, putting me, giving me literally nowhere to go and just turning a bit wide. So yeah, that dropped me back to P3. I was still like hopeful at that point because we're like all in Ed's draft train. And I think Christoph and Ed were using a bit more DRS than I did, so I was quite confident that maybe later on in the race it could still give me some chances. But yeah, there was like a little bit of a gap after a mistake from Christoph, so I was a little bit more worried then. And once Christoph made his mistake, I luckily could drive around it, and then I just had to go give everything I got and use all my DRS. I had no DRS left on the last lap, and Ed did have one left, so yeah, I was like close behind him. And I thought just like, in theory I couldn't really overtake anymore, but I just kept the pressure on, and it worked out, I guess.
Well, you turned the pressure up to 11, and it made it work. Zamborski just spun right there. You were falling back a little bit from Zamborski when you were battling with Herbono. How was the dirty air around this track?
It is okay to follow, but it's like so difficult to stay close enough to get like a good chance on the back straight. So it's like easy to follow in like half a second behind, but to really get a chance on that long straight, you need to be like, I don't know, 3/10 or something behind to really get a long shot. But yeah. But it doesn't really matter, it's all fine, so yeah.
Well, Paul, you won down here in beautiful Texas. Before we let you go and celebrate, anyone you want to thank?
Sure, I want to thank you guys for doing awesome broadcasts every week. Look forward to watching it back, and I want to thank all my teammates at Radicals Online and our partners and sponsors, Armor Centrum, Crapfield Simulation, Truck Racer, Joe Real Timing, Turn Racing, MOATF Podcast, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust.
All right, thank you, Paul Ilbrink. You have yourself a great night, and joining Alessandro is Edward Samborski.
Eddie, you did everything great from qualifying to the last lap, but then you made a rare mistake giving Paul a win. What's your take on this race?
Yeah, I should have downshifted a little later. That's the downshift upset the car. I did as well as I thought I could. The track was very it's tough to tame, to be honest with you. And I was looking at my mirrors because it's Paul. I had a feeling he was going to go for a move somewhere, and that was the last possible spot. I thought he would go for an overtake without causing calamity. So I moved over a little bit to the left. That's why I took the wide apex, because I wanted to be wide on exit. And I think I should have just took the regular racing line, because for some reason the car just went around. I mean, I looked at my inputs. I was very timid into the section, and I just lost the back of the car. I don't know. I'm assuming it's the downshift.
Yeah, sometimes these cars on iRacing just tend to sleep at weird moments you don't even expect. But looking forward to next week, we are going to Road America. So another very interesting track, which I think will suit very, very well this car. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of drafting with the very long straights. I haven't done any testing, so I don't know for sure, but usually high downforce, this type of setup is better around Road America. But then again, some people may try to make the medium work, so it could be very interesting. Could be like Indy Road, if you remember from seasons past.
Oh well, we definitely looking forward. If there is some chances to spice things up with different setups, we are up for that, because it's gonna make the race even more interesting. Anybody you would like to thank before we let you go, Eddie?
Thank you guys for doing a great job, and thank the team for everything they do. Trying to push each other, make ourselves better, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Let's see. We can unfortunately, Jason Enrique, our third place driver, is not here. So I think we can bring here to round up our interviews tonight.
We got Phil. We got Phil Reed with us. I don't know why James is in here. Wasn't even in the race. I think he may have won a second split. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Phil Reed. And Phil, you've had an up and down and around day here today. But how was this race?
It was. What's the best way to describe it? It was, I started off okay. I felt really happy with my qualifying. Obviously lost it on lap 1, and then had a good time trying to come through the field. I feel like I was coming through pretty nicely, and then say about halfway through the race, my left hand starts to go numb, which makes braking very difficult. So I couldn't tell how much I was braking. I couldn't feel how much I was steering. Everything was just wrong, and so just basically doing any fighting was nigh on impossible at that point. So, and I was just getting inconsistent. So I made my way up, and I probably could have made like at least two more positions, possibly 3 if I had the pace without that. But yeah, so it's one of those things where it's slightly annoying, but at the same time, I finished probably higher than I should have based on the fact that I couldn't drive. So there you go.
Well, hopefully your hand resumes feeling, because you do drive on a pad, which I still can't get over how you're able to do that, because I can't even drive on a wheel. Then again, you can't feel your left hand. I can't feel my right hand, so.
Well, together we'd be terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you switch hands, we'd be all right, I guess.
Well, yeah. We should probably do that instead the other way.
I don't have, but I like my hand on my body, so should try that. Well, Phil, it was in your end a good race with your circumstances. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Well, as always, I'll thank the team AOR sponsors, Hype Energy, Elgato Gaming, and GT Omega, and I'd also like to thank you guys and everybody else who put all the money together to keep this whole thing going. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And I want to say thank you everyone who puts forward money to keep this series broadcasted. This is a community-funded broadcast from the iRacing's Formula 3.5 community, and they do certainly love the work that we do here, and it's always appreciated that they keep coming back season after season with this broadcast. Alessandro, well, after those 20 laps, did COTA change your mind that this is a very exciting racetrack?
Yeah, whenever I'm not driving, yes. If I'm driving it will still maintain one of the lowest spots in my rank. But I'd have fun, so I can give you that. But we will see whenever I got the chance to drive it again on the service, Austin.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us here on Apex Racing TV. What a race we witnessed here in the Lone Star State at Circuit of the Americas. I've been joined by Alessandro Dalladone, Marco Barbonera in the production booth. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night.